Hey guys, welcome to Off Panel. This is a show where I bring you exclusive interviews with some of the biggest comic book people, from the artists, writers, inkers, colorists, all of them. Today I'm joined by Todd Nauck, a superstar comic book artist, starting from early 90s?
1994.
94. And originally that was from one of your friends showing artwork to some people Image, who then passed it on to Rob Liefeld.
That is correct, yeah. Back in my art school days, my buddies and I, we started doing our creator-owned stuff. We were going to do a creator-owned anthology, and that fell through.
Yeah.
But I had my story done, so I decided to make it. I went to a copy shop and made photocopies of the pages and made an ash can, a little black and white mini comic of, 8.5 by 11 printer paper folded in half, and I shared them with my buddies, and it was so much fun to making that of my Wildguard characters. I made more. I kept doing it, kept making new stories, and sharing them with my art school buddies. But I was kind of embarrassed by those. I didn't think anybody would want to see my goofy superhero stories. So I said, don't ever show this to anyone. And I was trying to break in with my, samples, my Spider-Man, Batman, Wildcat, Youngblood samples, and getting rejection letter after rejection letter. And one of my art school buddies, he was trying to break in as an inker. He would take my pencils and practice his inks on vellum. So we were trying to break in as a, possibly a penciling inking team. So he was he was at a convention in Houston, Texas, because we're native Texans. I'm from Dallas, Texas, originally. And that's where we went to art school. And so my buddy Jaime takes these mini comics to the convention. He takes our samples, shows them to Dan Fraga, who was working for Rob Liefeld's Extreme Studios in the early days of Image Comics. And Dan did not care for my pencil samples or Jaime's inking samples. And so my friend Jaime calls me that Sunday night after the convention, and I'm now living in Pennsylvania at the time. And he says, I showed Dan Fraga our samples. I'm like, awesome. He goes, he didn't like them. I'm like, oh well, better luck next time. He says, I kind of showed him your mini comics. I'm like, what? Jaime, you betrayed me. And he says, he liked those actually. I'm like, what? He said he wanted to take them to show Rob Liefeld. And I'm like, are you kidding me? He says, you might get a call from Extreme. He thinks you might be able to get a job off of this. It's like, Jaime, you're my new best friend. I'm going to name my firstborn after you, So it quickly turned to that one conversation from betrayal to...
From betrayal to pure glory for you.
Pure glory. And wouldn't you know, 2-3 days later, I did get a phone call from Extreme.
For 2-3 days?
2-3 days later, I got a phone call and saying, we saw your mini comics. We like what you do. We'd like for you to do some work for us. So 2 months later, I packed up and moved from Pennsylvania across the U.S. to California to work in studio for Rob Liefeld, his Extreme Studios, in the second year of Image Comics. So that was my big full-time break, and
that's a good way to start out. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, and what I learned in that moment was when I was doing those sample pages, I was drawing what I thought editors wanted to see. Yeah. But when I was making my mini comics, as embarrassed as I was by those, it was because it was purely me.
It's all your stuff.
My passion coming on the page. Exactly. So that's a lot more vulnerable. So if that's rejected, the wound feels like it cuts deeper.
Personal,
I take it far more personally, and I was afraid of that, especially as a early 20s kid. And but I learned then it's like that's where my passion was. So don't try to draw what I think people want to see. Draw what I am passionate about, and that is what got me. That's what got attention. So that's what brought attention to my work, and people liked. If that's what they liked, then I can't hold that back. I shouldn't hold that back.
Exactly, And from there, it was DC next, wasn't it?
DC was next. After working for Rob for 2.5 years on almost every title he put out through Extreme Studios, I started doing some work. Legion of Superheroes was the very first, some fill-in work.
You had an incredibly long run on Young Justice.
Young Justice, shortly with Peter David. That's right. I did as my most any artist's work when they first break into Marvel or DC is fill-in type stuff. So I did some fill-ins on Legion of Superheroes, get my feet wet. Some of the DC Superheroes Secret Files books, and then that quickly led to Young Justice. I was one of 5 artists considered for Young Justice, and I got lucky and got picked to be the guy to do the series.
It was a total of, I think it was 55 issues.
It was
53 of those.
53 plus 3
were like double-sized.
Double-sized specials, yes.
That is a lot of pencil work.
And I loved it. I loved the book, loved working with Peter, loved the characters. I would have kept drawing that book for as long as DC was willing to put it out. I just really, really enjoyed that series.
If they brought it back, would you be tempted?
I would be very tempted, especially if we had Bart Allen Impulse back, and he was in the book.
Love a bit of Impulse.
If we could get Peter David writing it, I think that's a part of the magic, is me teamed up with Peter David. Yeah, I'd definitely consider it. And, you know, they have done that similar thing with Keith Giffen and J.M. DeMatteis and Kevin Maguire doing the Justice League from the late 80s. They came back to do previously known as the Justice League, and I can't believe it's not the Justice League. They did 2 miniseries, so they got the original creative team back almost 20 years later to do those specials.
Fans, that's your job.
Yeah. We got about another 5 years till Young Justice 20th anniversary. 2 years till the 28 years since it debuted. So that'd be a great time to do a Young Justice creative team revival.
I think you should definitely do like a 20th anniversary piece for it.
Oh, I should.
If DC doesn't come to you and say, will you do like a 20th anniversary cover?
Yeah.
I'd be shocked.
I'll do an image at least to post online to show the fans who have been so supportive. Cool. Young Justice fans are continually, after all these years, so supportive and vocal of their love for the series. It means the world to me.
And after that, it was your own graphic novel series with Image Comics.
Right, the Wildguard mini comics I made in art school. I now decided it's time to do it as a comic book. So I went to Image, and then by this point, and so my Wildguard, the comic I did in art school, was my reality TV superhero team based on a TV show in the U.S. called Cops.
Yeah.
I don't know if they brought that here to...
Yeah, we have one very similar in the UK.
Yeah.
It's essentially...
It's called Bobby's, right?
Yeah. I think I want just like Police Interceptors or something.
Okay.
Something a bit boring, not as cool as Cops.
Right. So when I was a big fan of the show in the early '90s, I thought, what if cameramen followed superheroes instead of cops? So that's what those original mini comics were. So when it was when I decided I'm going to do it as an Image comic series, reality TV now had exploded in the early 2000s with Survivor and American Idol and Big Brother and Amazing Race. So I was like, wow, I'm tapping into the zeitgeist of what's going on here. So I was able to do ultimately 12 issues of my Wildguard series between 2003 and 2009.
And not only that, you've done tons of different Marvel work as well. Like in recent years, it's been Nightcrawler with
Chris Claremont, yes.
Legendary writer, done some of the most famous X-Men storylines.
Oh, definitely.
All time. And I'm drawing a blank, but there was one. Right now, you're actually about to. You've already started, haven't you? Deadpool?
I've been working on Deadpool, yes. So I've been working with Marvel off and on for about 10 years. Did a little 2-year stint with Robert Kirkman on his Invincible Universe series. Guarding the Globe. And then which became Invincible Universe. But came back to Marvel, did the Nightcrawler series with Chris Claremont. Fanboy dream come true. Grew up reading Chris Claremont X-Men, and now to be working with him on one of my favorite X-Men characters, Nightcrawler, dream come true. And but most recently working on Marvel's new Infinite comics, or fairly new. They're
online.
They're digital first, so you read them as you can read them digitally before they go to print as like 8-chapter stories, 8 digital chapters. That's about 70 screens. So it's not drawn in a regular comic book page. It's drawn as a series of screens that you scroll through, and they'll be
like move and animate a bit. Like
very basic. Yeah, panels will slide into place.
Slow, like motion comic.
Very well put. Yes. So I did a Spider-Man one, and as I was wrapping up Spider-Man, they had asked if I'd like to do a Deadpool Infinite comic, which is what I'm currently working on. It's called Deadpool Too Soon, and it is crazy fun. I am having such a great time. I've drawn the first 6 chapters. The first 2 chapters are on Comixology right now. Chapter 3 coming out this following Wednesday. Comes out every other Wednesday. I'm sorry, a new digital chapter. It's a Deadpool comic that guest stars who Deadpool thinks are the funniest characters in the Marvel Universe. Like Squirrel Girl, Howard the Duck, Spider-Ham, Rocket, Raccoon, and Groot, Four-Bush Man, Ant-Man, and Punisher. A lot of people go, Punisher, he's not funny. In Deadpool's mind, Punisher is funny, one of the funniest characters. So he's kind of the straight man to this group of crazies. So all those guest stars, that's just our first issue.
Yeah.
So the print version of that comic debuts in comic book shops in October, and it'll be a 4-issue miniseries. So each comic collects 2 digital chapters, so that makes it a 30-page comic book. So it's a meaty book. You get a lot of art and story for your dollar.
Yeah.
Or pound, I should say, here in the UK.
Now, aside from being an awesome comic artist, you're also a part-time Time Lord.
Yes, I do Time Lord on occasion. You know, at a convention, I probably do it one day out of a 3-day weekend at a convention. I was cosplaying as the 10th Doctor yesterday. Had a fantastic time. Been doing that for about a year now. I've been just became a Doctor Who fan about 2.5 years ago. Watching the current series on Netflix. Finally, heard so much about it. It's like, we got to watch this show. Instant fan. We don't have cable TV, so we have to watch on the different viewing apps, either Netflix or Hulu or Amazon Prime. And right now, Amazon Prime is the only place in the US that you can watch current Doctor Who. So we haven't seen season 9 yet, so no spoilers, please. But the 10th Doctor is my favorite Doctor, though I'm a big fan of 9, 10, 11, and 12, and of course number 4, Tom Baker. Incredible classic Who. Who doesn't like Tom Baker? But I do like to cosplay as the 10th Doctor. My wife and I will be spending another week here in London after the convention to sightsee, and I've convinced my wife to do a Doctor Who cosplay day where we can go through the streets of London, visiting Doctor Who locales, hopefully find a police box, and take photos. So she will be my rose to my 10th Doctor.
I'm going to let you down a little bit. They film most of it up in Wales.
Right, in Cardiff?
Yes. So,
but there's certain places here in London, like the London Eye, Big Ben, where the Slovene crashed through.
Yeah.
So some of those places, and I want to visit the Doctor Who shop, buy some, hopefully get some stuff that we can't get in the States.
Oh yeah, we got a lot of Doctor Who stuff.
Yeah.
A lot over here. I mean, you can just take it all.
Yeah, I'm hoping we can make it up to Cardiff, but if we can't do it on this trip, we got to come back to the UK so I can have a day in Cardiff, for sure.
Brilliant. Now, the guys, they can catch you. You're all online.
I am online, yes.
Because you've got your Instagram and Twitter. That's Todd Nauck.
Yes, at Todd Nauck on Instagram and Twitter.
You're on YouTube, and you actually draw some pieces out for people.
Yeah, on my YouTube channel, I have 70 plus art videos, penciling videos, inking videos, Copic marker videos, watercolor videos. My Periscope broadcast, I'm at Todd Nauck on Periscope, where I live broadcast my art demos. When I have time, if I'm not working crazy deadlines or traveling to a convention. So yeah, my Instagram and YouTube are probably my 2 most popular social networks. But I have a fan page on Facebook, Art of Todd Nauck, and I also have a Tumblr as well. So and a DeviantArt page.
You'll have all your artwork.
Yeah, you can see all my art on all those different social media. I run contests on some of those social media, especially Twitter and occasionally on Instagram. And ToddNauck.com links to all these social media. So if you go to ToddNauck.com, you can find me on your favorite social media. And I also have a Snapchat, but I've yet to snap a chat. I'm still trying to learn. I've been asking all my friends' sons and daughters, how do you use this social media? I'm too old to understand.
It's just basically take a picture of something when you can remember to take a picture.
Yes.
That's the thing. I always forget. I see all these great cosplayers at conventions. I'm like, I'll take a picture, but not Snapchat.
Yeah.
You can't add photos to Snapchat. You have to snap it with the app.
That's why I'm so spoiled by Instagram, is I can add a photo whenever, from my library whenever I want. But Snapchat, I don't have that luxury, and it's like,
you've got to snap it.
Exactly. I see why they call it Snapchat now.
On that terrible fun. At conventions, you've got all your artwork for sale.
Yeah,
I've got original pages.
Pages from the comic books that have seen publication, special prints. My sketchbook with a collection of my commission type stuff. Things people will see on my different social media. People like having a hard copy. Well, my sketchbook, which is on sale at ToddNauck.com. This one's almost sold out. My next volume will be coming out soon.
And what other conventions are you hitting up? Do you know yet?
I do, yeah. To close out 2016, I have at least 4 more conventions. Long Beach, California in September. Cincinnati, Ohio in September, the following week. In October is New York Comic Con, which is enormous and awesome. And then my last convention of the year is Bangalore, India. in November.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Apparently there's a big comic book community in India and in Bangalore, and so they've invited my wife and I out, and we're going to go and hopefully experience a brand new culture.
Really? Well, Todd, thank you for your
Thank
time.
you. Had a great time.
Thank you. Guys, check out Todd's work on all the websites. I'll link it all in the description below, and I'll put it up on the screen as well. If you'd like to see more, don't forget to subscribe and like, and check out the rest. Till next time, guys. Take it easy.